In today's video, I'm going to show you how to build a dynamic dashboard just like this that populates from data in another tab like this. It includes the functionality to set a start month, a end month, select what agent you want to display the data for, what status, and what lead source, and see all the metrics update accordingly. Alright, so we're going to start out just like this with our data tab and our data here. So we have a couple things we're going to fill out over here on the right hand side. We have our basic dropdowns tab, and we're going to have to add a little more functionality to this to populate our dashboard. And then I just have our image here we're going to use for our dashboard. Let's go ahead and start out by creating our dashboard tab just like this. And then let's cycle through. First of all, let's copy this image over to dashboard, and then we can delete that image from here. And then this drop downs, this is good to go for the moment. And this data is good to go for the moment. We'll fill that in later. And so for now, let's just look at the dashboard, and I'm gonna go ahead and put this in over here. Just gonna merge some cells. And then if you click on an image, and then on the upper right hand side, if you click on the three little dots, maybe you can see it in the video, then you can put image in selected cell, just like that. And then next what I'm going to do is change the background color in the whole thing, in this whole tab. So I'm going to select on the upper left hand side, and then I'm going to select a color here. So I'm just going to go maybe 2, the light gray 2 there, something like that. And then one more thing I'm going to do here is on the theme. So the standard theme, and this is going to come into play when we start creating some charts. I'm going to come down here. Maybe I'll go to, and you can pick whichever one you like here. I'm just going to pick, I think, cozy, kind of like those colors, and then X out here. And so I'll streamline when we come to chart time. All right, so let's go ahead and just set up some of our drop downs here. So for example, we're going to do start month and end month, and so we'll need drop down here, and then we'll give ourselves a little bit of room. We're going to create some tables in here. First of all, let me go ahead and make this a little narrower. I'm going to give myself a little buffer, and so we're going to do a recent sales table here. We're going to need a couple columns, so we'll just check out, put here a little gap. And so then let's do agent, status, and lead source. And then we'll do drop downs here. And I'm just putting these as a placeholder. And so we need a drop down for start and end month. And so on this drop downs tab, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create myself a little section, and I'll do that like on a drop down or the settings tab, just to give myself a little visual separation when I would go through and modify it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do something called all months. And so what I want on this drop down is a month and a year. And so this is currently just days. And so if I pull this into a drop down for my start month, it's not going to be months, it's going to be all the individual days. And even if I just take one from each month, then I'm still going to see that. So what I want to do here is kind of convert into a month year. So I want, instead of like 1/1/2025, I want Jan 2025 or Jan 25, something like that. And so the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to use a formula here. And so first of all, let me go ahead and just get all those dates. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to pick all these except for the ones that are blank. And also, since I have this top row, I'm just going to do does not equal sale date. So I could go down one and just get rid of that part, or either or. I'm just doing it this way, just in case you happen to come in here and insert row above, we won't get messed up. So there's our dates. Now this isn't super useful as is, because again, this isn't the month year. It's including all the days. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do a text formula, and that allows me to format numbers as a particular format. And dates are numbers. It's maybe a little hard to believe, but what we can do here then is MMM. And if you can see this little pop-up, it says July. And then I can do a 2-digit or 4-digit year. You can do upper or lowercase, either one. And so let's say we do a 4-digit year. So we can do that. Now, unfortunately, this is not applying to all of those dates. And so what I need to do here is wrap this in an array formula. And then now that's applying to all our dates. But I don't need multiple July 2024. And so outside of this array formula, I'm going to then do unique. And there we go. So now we have all of our unique days there. So one thing I may want to do inside here is just a quick sort, just to make sure this comes in the correct order. Otherwise, if the data got resorted, you could potentially have newer dates up top. And we just want to keep them in ascending order so it makes sense when we're parsing through them. So there's our all months. And so we could potentially use that, but I wanted to be able to kind of toggle these. And so I want these to relate to each other. And so the way I'm going to do here is I'm going to do a start month and a end month drop down. And then I'm just going to make sure that this one is before this one and so forth. And so what I'm going to do here is if this one is equal to blank, we'll just show the whole thing. So array formula, and then I can just select all of those just like that. Then I can go ahead and close that. Now we can see it's not blank, which we don't have a real value here. But in this case, what we want to do is then do something like this. And let's actually just use this as our drop down for the moment. So let's go ahead and drop down from our range and pull this in. And actually I will want to flip this around, but we can use this. We need F, not E. There we go. And then I'm going to change this to an arrow under the advanced options. There's our start. So you can see we can select something here. Now one thing is not letting me select these because right now I need to go to plain text because I'm converting these from a date to plain text. And so if I don't change this format to plain text, that's not going to let me select those because it's going to try to convert it back to a date again. What I'm going to do here is, first of all, I'll do this backwards. I kind of started here, but I'm going to do this one first and then we'll rewind. So let's do this. If, let's actually grab this one. And then this time we'll do E2. And I did EE instead of E2. There we go. So E2 is here. Now, if that is filled, then we only want n months after that. And so let's check that out. And so if that is filled in, then what we're going to do is a little magic here. So again, we convert these to text. So it makes this a little funny to work with. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to use our array formula, and what we're going to do is filter these and select all those where these are bigger than our start month, which is going to be in this cell here. Now the only issue is that, and I delete my formula there, is that these are text, and so the text isn't going to quite work right. And so we're going to use that array formula, and we're going to do date value of these. So something like that. And then we're going to do where this is greater than date value of this cell. So let's go ahead and pull that in and then close this out. And let's see what we come up with. So we selected September, and now we have this starting in October. Let's go ahead and delete this and see what happens. Well, now it starts in July, which is our first one, so that's good. We go to August, and it starts in September. What if we start in our first month, July? So there it is, August. So now we're doing great. we're getting exactly what we need for our end months. And so now we need to flip it around and do the same thing on the start months. So I can actually just take this whole thing and then do this. And I just need to change this to E3. And then flip this around and do less than. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to switch this and change this to G. And then add one here. And we'll go to H. And then again, I'm going to go to advanced options and go to arrow. It just makes for a cleaner look in this layout. So now you can see here, when we go to select end months, it can only go from August down. So let's just do, for example, January 2025. Now I need to first select that plain text again. And there we go. And now if we go here, we can see this only goes to December 2024. And this only goes to August. So what if we go to like November? Well, now you can see this only goes to December. And now if we check, those are only going to those. Now if we delete this one, we now have those options to go forward and so forth. So this is a quick and easy way to kind of be able to manipulate both ends. Now if you're using this and you get stuck and you're like, I need to go back to November and you're trying to change this to December, you will have to change this one first. So we have to go to November and then December, just like that. So we have these months drop downs set up now. And so we want to set up these agent status and lead source. And so we have that data here, and then we have the drop downs here. So first thing we want to do is make sure that for our dashboard purposes, that we want to force all this data to fit these drop downs. And so I'm going to go ahead and just set these columns to be drop downs from those options. So drop down from range. This is product type. So we'll set it there. I'm going to drop down to row 2, so I don't have this top one there. And then I'm going to set this to arrows. Go back to my data, change our status. So I'm going to click on the top to select it, hold down Control, and click on this top row, just so I can select the data below, and then add my row again. And then this is status. Again, drop down a row. So you can see my little trick to drop down from those top rows, so I'm not having to click and drag to select the whole column. And then lead source. And then finally, let's go to salesperson. And so again, I'm clicking this top one, holding down Control, clicking on that top cell, and now it's only selecting from row 2 down. Just want to point that out one more time in case I lost you in the first time. And select the top one again. And this time I'm doing it inside here instead of out here. It's just a little easier to manage. And then change that under advanced options to arrow again. And now we have those drop downs set up in here. So while we're here, let me go ahead and just set these up. Actually don't remember if we're going to use this sale month. We'll have to see as we build up the dashboard, but I'll go ahead and build these out. So what I'm going to do here is we have a commission percentage and the sales amount. So I just want to build a commission amount. And so let me just come in here and I'm going to add it up here in the header just to make it easy, quick and simple to not lose it. And so what I'm doing here is an array literal. So this is my opening bracket, and then a string for my header, and then a semicolon, and then I'm going to do array formula that's going to times my commission times the sales amount. So array formula, and then we could do if h2, or we could do m2, I guess, to m, and we'll do, if that's blank, we'll do nothing, otherwise m2 to m times h2 to h. So pretty quick and simple formula there. And then I'm going to end with another curly bracket to finish our array literal. So our array literal just allows us to create a custom table essentially. And this one's going to be a single column. So you can see 10% of 9,400 is 940. So if this percentage got changed, if this went to 5%, for example, you can see that update automatically there. All right, so for the sale month, I'm just going to take this sale date and turn it into a text just like we have been. And so let's go ahead and just add this the same way. Array formula. If A2 to A is blank, do nothing. And so I'm just doing this to make it not have weird things show up if there's no data in that row. Now, if there is, then we're just going to do that text thing like we did. So we're just going to do our 3 M's for our short month abbreviation, and then we'll just do a 4-digit year, that, and then close it out with that curly brace again. And there we go. So now we can see that sale month. So this makes it easy to see in case you need to jump in there and see what sale month that is. All right, so this data, we got this finished set up. You can add notes for those sales here. Obviously your data set may look a little different, so you can adjust it as needed. And then we'll just use these columns and refer to them as we build stuff out. So I'm gonna go ahead and do a little formatting in this, just clean it up a little bit. Change that to a real black. All right, and then I'm gonna add one more little section over here. And so as we go to put these drop downs on, so I have the list of salespeople here, but I think one thing that would be nice, instead of just having the list and then having to like maybe clear out, is I want to be able to add all in front of each of these. So there's not really a native way to do it in Google Sheets. So what I'm going to do is basically duplicate these. And so I'm just going to copy and paste those over here. I'm going to add all. And then I'm just going to do an array formula and pull in those drop downs. And so I did A2 to A, and then I selected some, and I just deleted the end rows, and that will bring in the whole thing. And so then I can just drag this over as well. And there's salesperson, lead source, product type, just like that. And then I'm going to just do a quick little one there, and then get rid of the rest of these columns. There we go. And then if you like, we can go through and do a little cleanup on this, make sure this looks all nice and tidy. So let me get the drop downs from here now into this dashboard, and then we'll be ready to start building out our stats. And so let me just do this drop down here, right click, drop down from a range, just like we did before. And I'm just clicking on select data range, selecting here, go to here, and then we have our salesperson. And then I'm just deleting those end rows references, just in case there's more that shows up later. Advanced options, arrow. So there we go. You just go ahead and select all for a filler. And then since this is already open, I can just do add rule here. Drop down from a range, click, click, and then scroll over, lead source, delete and row reference, scroll down, arrow, and continue on. Make my own little music here. And product type. There we go. All right, so those drop downs are in place now. Now we're ready to start building our dashboard. So we only have one more step really that we need to do here. Let me go ahead and just actually change these to white just to make them noticeable for changing. You can change them to yellow too as well. So it's really up to you what you prefer to do. Obviously you can not use gray as your background either. And so let's just set up a quick table here, and then we'll start building out. So I'm just going to merge these. We'll just call this recent sales. And then I'm going to just pick a font here. So if you don't see a font that you like, you can always go to more fonts. And so the one I'm going to use here is called Babos New, however you say it. And then make this a little bigger. I'm just going to turn this to actual black. And then we'll build out a little section here. So we'll do something like numbers sold, average sale, total sales. And then we'll do maybe like the last or current month here, something like that. And then last month. except we won't do the actual stats for last month. We'll do like a 10, and then we'll do like a plus 10 or a minus 10%, something like that there. So we did something like that, then we could do our average sale, it'll be like 10. So just as an example here, what we'll do there. So that'll be this section, and then I'll probably leave us a little extra room here. I'm gonna put a table down here. And so let's start with our first real section over here. I'm gonna do this one, we'll call it status. Change our font up a little bit, something like 14, I think. We can adjust that and tweak that later. And so what we'll do here is status, and then we're just going to do the same kind of thing here: number sold, average sale, and total sales. And then we need to populate some numbers here. So we want to pull out our total number of sales by status, and then calculate the total number of sales, and then the average. So we could just pull directly from here. The issue is we have this start and end month, and we have agent status and lead source, which is going to make it a little challenging to put this together. So we could put together a formula to pull that, but it's going to get really long, and then we're going to have to copy that formula for each one of these. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to basically make a copy of this tab. So I can actually just duplicate this, and we can call this whatever we like. We can call it filter or something like that. And then I'm going to select the whole data set, and then hold down Control, click that top row, and just delete all that data. The reason being, this is just going to be where it shows up. And so what I'm going to do here is a little formula to filter this data based on what we have selected here. And so we can build this one step at a time. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use a query formula, because this makes it super easy to stack, super easy to put together in regards to how long of a filter or other formula you'd have to use. So I'm going to walk you through each step of what it takes to put this formula together. So if you're a newbie, this may seem a little more complicated, but if you follow along carefully, I'm going to show you each step of the way. So we open our query formula, and then I'm going to select all the data over here. So I clicked on B2, but I really want A2. And then I'm going to do colon, and then I want my last column of data. And so in this case, it'd be that sale month. And so I tried clicking there, but I was clicking around, messing around, so it didn't pull through. So not to worry, I can either come over here and look and see what that was, and just literally type it here, P, just like that, and it comes through. Now the one thing I want to make sure is I have these formulas up here that are going to interfere. And so I need to just delete these. And so I'm just going to get rid of those and just put it back to that title, just like that. And now we're good to go. So we have our data just pulling through, but we don't have any filters applied yet. So what I'm going to do here is on the query, we can put together a query string. And that's what is the beauty of this, is in Google Sheets, you can put together little strings dynamically. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. So I can just do something simple here, like select all. This is a wildcard meaning all. So select all columns. Otherwise I could do something like that. And just do this. And you can see now it just brings those columns through. Or if I do select asterisk, it brings all of them through. So I can do something like that. I could do something like where A is not null, add a little condition there, and that's going to bring back everything where this column A has a value. Now what we can do here is add, using an ampersand, other parts to that string. And so for example here, let's put it inside the string. Let's do where J is equal to, I think pending is the status. Let's do processing. Just like that. And there you can see the only ones showing up are where processing is in column J. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull this out and put it into an if statement. And so we could just add it here. And if, I'm going to delete this N just so we can click around. So if, and it dropped it for me there. Let's try it again. if let's do the agent first. If this is equal to all, we're going to do nothing. And so you might recognize that from what we did before in the rate formula. Otherwise, we're going to do a string and say, and let's see what agent was. L, or salesperson was L. And so this kind of finished out for me automatically. So L is equal to, let's say, Dwight Schrute. I need to do a single quote here. A double quote. So let's just try that out. And then if we scroll over, like that didn't quite work. Let's see what was going on here. Oh, it's because we have, let's just select Dwight Schrute. Filter, and then it's Schrute, not shoot. There we go. And let's check to make sure. And sure enough, now they're all Dwight Schrute. So that's good, but we don't want it to be hard referenced. We want it to pull back from what we have selected here. Actually merge these over. So I want it to tie to this cell, whatever we have selected here, instead of having it directly in the filter. So what I can do here then is do 2 double quotes, 2 ampersands, and then I can make this cell reference right in here. So let me copy and paste, just like that. So currently we're still the same. So let's go ahead and change it to a different agent or salesperson. Let's say Jim Halpert. Go over here and look at that. Now we have Jim Halpert. So this is the basic logic we're going to use, is just this. So we use an ampersand. And actually, I don't need that first parentheses there. Let's simplify that a little bit. So this is the basic structure we're going to use, is this ampersand. Because what we can do is we can put as many of these together as we want. Now, the only thing to keep in mind is we need to make sure we add spaces, because if I didn't add space, then there's no space here, no space here. So if it did add it, it'd be null and instead of null space and. So it's just one thing to keep in mind. And so you can just kind of potentially just add a space at the beginning of each of these ands and do it just like that. And so what we can do here, let's just run through these ones because these are simpler to do, and then we'll incorporate those months. So let's do status. Let's go look at what status is. So status is J. And so let's just add that one. So go back here, status is I3. And so I can just do it all here. I can just do I3 and then look at status is J and then change that to 3. And so now if I change that status, let's say cold call, go back here. All right, so what I did here is I screwed up my drop downs. So this is lead source. So I can actually just copy and paste this down here. Now that's lead source. Now the status I need to change. And what happened here is I did product type instead of status. And so let me just change this to D. There we go. And then change this to L, I believe. There we go. And then we can get this fixed up. Just this instance. Let's see if that works. Status, lead source, and agents. Perfect. All right, now let me get this straightened out. So let's go status here and do delivered, Jim Halpert. And then let's check this out. So there we go. We're getting data back again. So if we check, okay, there's Jim Halpert with status of delivered, no other status. And then if we go back to all, scroll down, we can see there's some processing and in transit. So perfect. And then now we can go down to our lead source, which is I4. And so we can do this again. Now, one thing that may make this easier to track, if you do Control Enter, you can actually put each of these on a new line. So that may make it easier as you build this out. And so I'm going to do another ampersand here and then put here, and we're going to do, this one will be 4. And this one is going to be lead source, which is K. And then I'll just get rid of that ampersand at the end for now. So let's look at this. So let's just do cold call for Jim Halpert. There we go. And there we go, cold call. All right, so those are all working fine now. And then the other thing I need to incorporate now is the start and end months. So we're going to use the same logic. Now this one's going to get a little more complicated because of the way query works here, but this is still the simplest solution. So let's do and then we'll do and again. And then these last two is what we're going to use for our dates. Now, one more thing I wanted to point out, and let's say we deleted that altogether. And so you can see now that it's returning nothing, because right now if it's all, then it's doing nothing, otherwise it's doing something. So even though it's blank, it's still trying to look that up. So I'm going to do here is an or, and then I'm going to do this. Come back in here, and then close that out there. So what we're going to do is or, is it blank or is it all? If so, do nothing. Now if I hit enter, now it's going to come through. If we scroll over, now it's bringing through all the salespeople. So this means then it's all or blank is the same thing. And that just makes it a little more resilient. So I'm going to do the same thing for status and lead source. And then we'll use that same logic to build out these. Because if you delete these, you still want those numbers to come through. So I'm just going to pick September here, just so we can see that come through when we get that build. And then I'm going to come through and update these. So we'll change this. And I'm just going to do it like this. 3, 3, 4, 4. Now for these two, we don't need to add that or, because we're not doing all on these. We're just doing start and end. And so if we don't have one selected, all we need to do here is do the blank. We don't need to do the all. And then our date is an A. So let's go ahead and just put those in. And then let's figure out what cells those are. So E2 and E3. So E2, E3, E2, and E3. All right, so now we got to get to the slightly more complicated part. So if we have a start month, we want where the sale date is greater than or equal to. And so we need not just equal, but greater than, equal to, and less than or equal to. The other thing in the query formula is you have to do date in front of it, in front of that string. And the same thing here. And then we need to do one more thing. So first of all, right now this is just a text value. So September 2024. So we need to convert that into a date. But then the other complicated part is in the query, we actually need to do a text formatting. And so I'm going to walk you through that. Let's first of all change this into a date. So date value. And now if I select this and hover over it, so it gives me a number, which is a date. Now I know this displays a number, but this is a date. And so what we can do now is we can put that text wrapper around it and turn that number into the format we need in the query. So what we need here is a 4-digit year, a 2-digit month, and a 2-digit day. Let's see if I got the right number of parentheses here. We had it there. Yep. And so let's just check that out. There we go. So our start date is September 1st. We'll run that to July. There we go. Perfect. And then let's go to like January. And there we go. So that's working fantastic now. So all we need to do is basically flip the logic around for our end date. And so we can just take this here and we'll replace this here. Change that to 3. Now we need to do one more thing here because currently this is going to be the beginning of the month. So if you take September 2024, let's just do it here, date value, and there's that number. So let me go ahead and turn that into a regular date. So there it's September 1st. So on the end, we don't want it to be September 1st, we want it to be the end of the month. So let's say it's September and end month is October. We'd want this one to be the end of the month, which actually brings up a good point here. We want to adjust is actually want to do greater than or equals to. Want to include, so that way we can start and end the same month. So if we go here, now we can do September. And then we need to do flip that around as well, less than or equal to. So now we can have begin and end in September. So this one we want, scroll this down here. We want this one to be the end of September. So what we can do here is end of month, and then do 0 to get the same month. And so that's basically what we want. So we already have this for our start month. We need to add that end of month to our end one. And so here's our date value. So that's turning it into a date. And then what we need to do is put end of month right there and around it, just like that. And so now we have our September, got our filter, we have all of our September data right there. All right, so let's go ahead and delete those. So that may have seemed like a little bit, and it was. And so you can take a quick look at this formula. Let me scroll in a little bit so you can get a better look at that. And so this is the formula that controls our filter tab. And so this will automatically update the data in this tab whenever we make a selection on the dashboard. And so we have our original data here, and then just a sample string to start us off. And then we add each element here with an ampersand, and then we do an if statement. And so there's the ending parentheses for our if statement. We have an or to rule out if it's blank or all is selected, and we want to do nothing. So you could put a blank string there, but you don't need it. And if something is selected, we're going to do this little string here. And in this case, we'd be picking that column and then tying it to our selection. And so that's going to reference this one in most cases, unless you have something set up differently. And then when it comes to a date, you just need to do greater than or equals to, put in the text date there, and then get that date in this format. So here you can see when I selected that, it's rendering it to look like this inside of that string. And then these double quotes inside those single quotes is what's allowing us to exit out of that string to put together something from the spreadsheet. All right, so let me pull this back down a little bit so we can move forward on this. And so that is going to be the end of our complicated formulas, and the rest of it we're going to pull through over here and build out our dashboard. So let's just build this one out first, just to show you how this works. And this will be very easy to then duplicate, because we'll be able to make one formula and then just kind of quickly tweak it as we move across. So what we're going to do here is I'm just going to use the query again, and it's going to make it very quick and easy to modify. And so I'm going to select all the data. I think it goes over to Q. Yep, there we go. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to say select. Let's check out where our status is. So our status is J. And so select J. And then we need numbers sold. And so we'll use our sales amount H there. So we're going to do a couple things. Count H, average H, and sum H. And then where J is not null, and group by J. So let's just check that one out for now. And there you can see we have delivered 72, average, and sum. So let's just get rid of, let's put this back to all, and then let's take out that end month, just so we can see all of our data. And now you can see there's our statuses, there's our sold number, average sale, and total sum. So there's this kind of goofy thing here going on, and what it's doing is it's automatically titling those. And so what I'm going to do here is a label, a custom label. And then what we're going to do is count H, average H, and sum H, just like that. And there we go. And then we can simply do a little formatting here to get this the way we need. Let's change those to dollars. We can get rid of the cents there. And then maybe we can also change this to, let's do courier new, or courier right there. And then we can create a little pie chart based on this. So we could do it based on the number or the total sales. So let's just do it in the number for now. Insert chart. And then take that size down a little bit. And then I'm going to change this one into a pie chart, or we could do a donut chart. So maybe something like that. If you want to change and adjust this, we could do that under customize, and we could change different things like that. One thing I'm going to change is change that to none and none for those. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to change this to white. And then let me go ahead and just toggle those grid lines for a second, see what that looks like. And you can see it kind of merges those together. And so let me just go ahead and do a little formatting on this table, and then we'll go ahead and use this to populate across the board. So we can decide what font we want to use there. Leave that one like it is. And maybe we'll add one more here. Let's do a bar based on what the total number of sales was. So here we have pretty big sales. Another thing we may want to do is actually order this. And so let's go up in here. Let's order by sum H descending. Just put them in order there. And then we can do something like, if this is blank, do nothing. Otherwise, we're going to do a spark line. And then here we can grab this one. And then we'll do a little spark options here. So we're going to do chart type, bar, max, and this will be the sum of these. And then color 1. And then I'll just put in a custom number here, 73763, something like that. And then close out a spark line. So there's a quick one there. And I'm going to drag this down. So I'm going to lock this one first. That. And then drag this down. Maybe we'll leave ourselves a little extra room in case we add another status. So you can adjust this if you're going to have more statuses, or you can obviously give yourself a little more room here in the bottom as well. So there's that. I'm just going to then just add myself a little more room here and probably change that to white. Then we can make this a little wider if we want as well, like that. Or we can make this a little narrower if it looks a little better to be a little tighter in. Maybe center it. So there's our first little field here. And so let's just copy and paste this and make ourselves a new section. So resize this and then add, let's see, that's up there. Okay. Add that just like that. And then we'll change this one to referral channel. And then lead source. And what we're going to do here is, so we kind of have the wrong, I need to lock this. And then I'm going to copy and paste this here. And then what we're going to do is all we need to do is change that J to our next column. So refer channel or lead source is K. And so all we have to do here is change the J's to K's. K and K. There we go. You can see we got a couple extra there. So strike that down. Maybe we'll give ourselves a couple extra. And then I can paint this format by doing paint format and then pull that down just like that. Maybe make this a little wider. And then again, we can do a chart like this if we like. We can do it on the number sold, or we can do it on total sales. We can include a couple extra in case you have a couple more lead sources. And so let's just do this. I'm going to select chart, change this to a pie chart again, and then pull this in and build ourselves a little section here. And then double click, customize, remove, and there we go. So maybe I'll change some of these fonts as well. I can change those to Courier there. Just kind of standardize these as we go. Looking pretty good. So I don't think we'll go any further this way, so I'm just going to resize this to 20 and get rid of our columns there, just like that. And so let me go ahead and just do the rest of our sections like these. So I'm going to copy both of these and then maybe come down maybe somewhere around here. And then we can change this to, for example, salesperson and product type. So let's do that. Salesperson, product type, and then we can just change these here. Salesperson is L, so this one we can just change the J to L. And there we go. We need to paint that format down a little bit. Down here. And drag that one down, just like that. So Ryan really isn't even showing up on the spectrum there. And then this one, product type, go back here, product type is I. So we'll change, this one's K, we'll change those to I's. And there we go. So again, we can add those charts there. So here we probably do need a little more room. So maybe I'll go ahead and paint myself a little format down here, like that. And then again, we can do based on sold or average sale. Now here we may need a little more room. Look at the something like that, and give ourselves a little more room. We could make this sold a little narrower if we want. Maybe we'll see what that is. 65. Make sure these are all the same. Just like that. And then, actually, gotta look at these, make sure I didn't update these. It's a good thing I went and saw that. So let's change that to Q8 through Q. Let's just do 15, something like that. Drag that one down. Check these. So this K is fine, but this needs to be 29 through, let's do 40. Drag that one down. I can see just a hair on there. 29 through Q40. And I can drag this one down. Alright, and then let's finish up here. So one thing here as well, and I think I did, this one was O. So we could change that to Q if you want it based on sales amount instead of numbers sold. And again, same thing here. This one I did to I could change that to K. And then here we can change it to I, which is numbers sold, J, average sale, or K, total sales. So they're pretty close there, but you can check that out when you're doing yours. So I'm going to select this, insert chart, change again. Now one thing we could do is we could do, for example, a bar chart like this, if that makes more sense to you. And so it's really up to you what you want to see there as far as the displays, or you do pie chart like we have been doing. Pull that down, change these just like that. And then let's just do our last one. And then you can change one more thing here, chart style. Thing here, just like that. Make that a little wider. All right, so there is our basic tables there. And then what I'm going to do here is build a recent sales table. And then underneath that, I'm going to build a monthly sales table. So let me just do that real quick here. So I got recent sales. Let's do monthly sales. And then what we'll do here is maybe we'll do something like a total. And then underneath we'll do sale month, numbers sold, average sale, and total sales. And then let me go ahead and paste that format here. And then I'm going to do the same thing here, but I'll change this maybe to green, I think. And then I can also do something like that. And maybe we can add a little bit of border in between here, like that as well. All right, so let's go ahead and finish building this out. So what we can do here is we can show all the months that we have selected in our filter. So the way we could do that is we have our months, sale months over here. So we can go ahead and use that. So what we're going to do here is a formula called unique. We've already used it before, but in a slightly different context. So this one's going to be a simpler version of it. And that's pretty easy there. All right, so the one thing here is we may not necessarily know how many months we have here. So we may want to give ourselves some room. Like 38, 47, 50. So maybe something like this. Since we don't probably need this one here. Go ahead and turn that back. And then I'm going to go ahead and add a little border in between like that. All right. Maybe I'll also change that font real quick while I'm at it. There we go. Now what I have to do here is a formula to do the number, average, and total sales. So what I'm going to do here is actually an array formula just to make this a little more dynamic. And then if you need to add more, you can just paint the format. You won't have to build the formulas. So what we're going to do here is if B30 to B is blank, we'll do nothing. Otherwise, we'll do a count if. And then what we'll do here is count these where they're the same as these. Just like that. And there's our sold amount. So I'm going to go ahead, center those, just like that, perfect. And then I'll go ahead and do this total sales. And so we'll just use this same formula here. And then I'm going to modify this to sum if. And then we can just add that column that has the totals. So I'll just pull this over for the moment and then we'll update that here in a second. So we go back here to filter. That sales amount is in H. So I can change this to H. And you can see here in the sum if you do the range that you're comparing and the criterion that you're comparing it to, and then the total amount. So here we can pull that down, change that. There's our total sales. And then all I have to do is divide total sales by number sold to get our average sale. And so I'm just going to take a modified here. We could do a count if, but I'm just going to do this and do E30 divided by C30. And there's our average sale. Go ahead and center that. And now here we can just get our totals. So this would be sum, just like that. Our total would be a sum of our total sales. And then our average sale would be this divided by this. There we go. So there is our monthly sales. And then the last thing up here will be our little section here. So our current month, so there's a couple different options here. Let me actually run through and do these real quick here. There we go. That looks nice. Give it a little separation there. So how we want to determine our current month. So our current month, what I'm thinking is we'll either use today if this is blank, or we'll use what's here. So let's say we selected December 2024. So then I want this to be equal to that. And then this would be basically November 2024. So what we can do here is do something like this. If this is blank, we'll do, and let's do the end of the month, just like we were talking about before. So if it's blank, we'll do end of month today. Otherwise, we'll do end of month, and then we'll probably have to do a date value again of that. Make sure grab the right one. And then do 0, just like that. So there we go. So December 2024, if we get rid of that, or actually in December. So let's go to January, there we go. November, and so forth. So we can cycle through and see that month. And then we want here to be the prior month. Let's just do end of month of the month prior. So we can just take this date and then do -1. And there we go. Let's change that format instead of full. Let's change it to our 3-letter abbreviation. And so let me do a custom one here. Change this to August. And then add a year in here. Let's see if I can give myself space there. We can do a 2-digit year or 4. Let's just do 4 just like that. And then let's change that to our courier. And then maybe we'll change this whole section to our blue background like that. And it looks pretty good. Maybe center these. We do courier maybe. I want to do maybe something a little smaller. Let's do this one. Something like that. That looks good. Maybe these will go bold, go a little bigger. All right, now we actually need to get these tied to those numbers. Now, one thing that we could run into here before we go any further is what if we picked the same month? So we had December and December. So we could use this filter to pull in the current month data, but now we no longer have November's data to get our month-over-month comparison. And so we could try to go reference back to our original data, but then we'd be missing all these other filters. So what we may want to do is do another copy of this, and we could call this even prior month, something like that. And then what we're going to do here is base it on this prior month. So B9. And so let's go down here. And so we can get rid of this if, because it's always going to show up. So we're just going to say NA is greater than or equals to. Now, the one thing to keep in mind is that one's at end of month. So let's just look at, I think it's like B9 or something like that. And then let's add this one here. And get this straightened out here. Do I have everything I need? And let's just let that one rest for a moment. Now let me go find out. Let's see. B9. Okay. Let's go back to this. Change this to B9. All right. So now what we should be able to do is do a SUMIF here. Now we still need to compare it to that month. And so this one actually is going to be COUNTIF. So let's do that. COUNTIF. Actually, just gonna count ifs, and then we can do the filter. We have that sale month here, so we could do that. And then go back here. But this one's a date. So what we'll have to do here is text and then do this. Something like that. So I guess we only need to count if there. And then we could do the same thing here. But this one, it's gonna be prior month. So let's do that. Okay, so there's our prior month, but we don't want the number, we want the percentage difference. So we want to see, is this number greater than, equal to, etc. So what we can do here then is to get that percentage, we do C8 minus our countif, and then let's wrap that in parentheses, divided by our prior month. And so if we change this to percentage, that's going to be our percentage increase. So our old one was, select just this part, 75. So 75 to 82 is a 9.3% increase. And so we can do the same thing across the board. Let's do our total sales and then our average sale. So we can grab this one, change this to sum ifs, and then we need to get our sales amount is H. That $2 get rid of that, change this, there we go. And then we just need to do the same thing like we just did here. So let's go ahead and grab this. And then we can just change these to prior month. I'm just showing you every way you can do this. Prior month. And then change that to 9. All right. So then this one, we want to do the same thing. And so we'll do E8 minus, there's our difference. Let's wrap this and divide it by. So the way percentage works, you take the new amount minus the old amount over the old amount. And so I'm wrapping it in parentheses to make sure that this happens first. And so now change that to percentage. There we go. Maybe we reduce it down to 1 decimal place like that. And then maybe we could put that up like this, go down a little bit. Size. Maybe turn this to something like that. We could also highlight these conditionally, and not that one. Let's do this. So we do greater than 0 like that. Do another rule less than 0. Change this not to the background but to this, something like that. And then let's do the average. So we can just take this one actually and put it over here. And then what we're going to do here is just change this E to D and then change these average ifs or sum ifs to average ifs. Just like that. And then change that to percentage. And there we go. So there is our month over month increase from November to December. Add a little border in there, something like that. And then let's in here, let's just do a white background and let's actually make a chart of this. So let's go ahead and just get rid of that N1, maybe both of them, and make a chart of this. So I'm going to select all this here, insert chart, and then let's make it fit in here. And this is how we'll finish this video. Maybe I'll add a couple more rows here, just like this. Just a little more room. Just like that. Yeah, something like that. Looks good. And then let's figure out which columns we want. So let's actually go to 29 here and use it as headers. There we go. So I was starting down here. I changed it to 29. And now if we look here and look at setup, instead of just showing the range, now it's actually showing sale month, number sold, average sale, etc. So let's get rid of that average sale from here. And then I'm going to do this as a combo chart. And then we'll do, let's see here, number sold, total sales. We'll go with that. Customize, series. So what's happening right now is the number sold isn't even showing up. And so what I'm going to do here is number sold. Let's change it. Oh, that's left axis. Let's go to total sales. Let's change that to right axis. And there you go. Now it makes a huge difference there. And so we can adjust these colors we want now. Something like that. Maybe change this to 4 or something like that. We can change the opacity. So you can really adjust this however you like to get that to fit. And then maybe we need to add a title in this as well. So let's go to chart axis titles. Let's do sales by I need one more thing. I want to change that. Get rid of that border there, just like that. All right. Let's go ahead and bump our size down, see what this looks like. So now we're looking really good. We can adjust our start months and see everything update just like that. So this one's goofing up a little bit. We could adjust that, but in this case, if we select a start month, we can just select an end month just like that. And there we can see May and April. So if we get rid of that start month, we can just cycle through here and see those recent sales, just like that. Do our start, we can cycle through maybe January through July, and we can see all those update. And then as we look through here, we can select an agent and see those results there. We can iron it down by status and see just those results just like that. So other things we could do here as well is under the salesperson, we could even change one of these to the commission, maybe instead of the average sale. So if we just do like that, we come in here, instead of the average H, we could look at our filter data, and our commission amount is an O. And so we could just change that to sum O. And then change our label here, sum O. And then we'd see our commission amount instead of that average sale. And then if we come back up here, change that to all, we can see our commission amount across each salesperson. All right, so that is it for today's video. Make sure to like and subscribe if this was helpful for you, and check out the other videos on our channel for more tutorials on both Google Sheets and AppScript. As always, have a great day.